Everybody, Zach with VAC Motorsports. We're here doing a Engine Builder Magazine live stream takeover. I'm here with the president of VAC Motorsports, Tony Salloum, and we're going to take a walk through the shop, tech tips, and some questions you guys had. So here we go.
All right, welcome everybody. We appreciate you watching. I'd like to thank Greg and Engine Builder Magazine for allowing us to be a part of the Engine Builder takeover. So we're going to show you the machine shop. We'll start here because this is really where just about everything is born. On the CNC side here, we have an Okuma mill. Right now, the job that's running, we call these floor mount adapters, which are basically you remove the factory seat and install these floor mounts, and allows you to put aftermarket race seats in there. They're very adjustable. If you want to get in, you can see this is like op one on them, first side, and then we flip them and do some extra work. I'll show you one here on the bench as well. This is, you'll see the top side, this is like an E36, E46 application. So we take a lot of weight out. What makes our product pretty unique is it is made specific to the chassis. You know, when I first built the first FMA, it was actually in the year 2000, and at that time the first CNC machine was a Haas VF2. So I kind of got tired of building E30 M3s, race cars at the time. That was a pretty popular car, and putting race seats in was always a struggle. You know, you'd sell somebody a $500 race seat, and then you have to bill them $500 for installing it, because you'd have 5-6 hours of install, cutting the floor, welding. Well, we designed these and manufactured them, and race seats can now be installed in as little as a half hour if you're an experienced installer. So that's one of our key products. So this 3-axis machine gets to do that. We even get to rough engine blocks on this machine. It's been pretty solid. You can see all the chips around the side. I mean, it moves chips and it moves them pretty quick. And we can remove stuff, remove material quickly, a lot of cubic inches. Over here we have the engine blocks. When these engine blocks are built, initially the roughing is done in the Okuma, so we rough the top and the bottom, and then we put it through the process. It has to go through heat treat, and then it goes into the centroid, which is over this way. So it goes from the Okuma to the centroid. And the centroid is a great machine for us. It's very versatile. We obviously do a lot of cylinder head porting, but it's also a 5-axis machine, so these blocks are actually all machined inside the centroid, all the critical features. If you're just doing engine block work, this machine is great because it's going to allow you to blueprint the block as well, so you know where your center line is, and you're getting your deck heights and everything exact. So it's been a wonderful machine. It's every day. There isn't a day that it doesn't get used. So it's a good machine for us. Here we have some cylinder heads that have come in also. You can see they're getting ready. They're staged for some porting and cylinder head work. If I can point out over here, this is the lightweight version, or I want to say more of like the intermediate version. This original, the solid version, this is like the thickest. If you look at the walls here, there's no pocketing. That's the thickest. It's a little bit heavier, but typically somebody that wants to make a lot of power, they're going with this design. For people that, you know, maybe want to road race it and take every ounce out of it, then we're going with this design. What we decided to do is kind of do an in-between to give the best of both worlds, and that's what this features. It has lightning pockets in it. It's got all the gusseting, and it's just not as deep as that. So it gives the best of both worlds, where you're not going as light as the lightest version, but you're also, you know, saving some more weight. These are a modular design as well, and these guys here are now pressed in, but you can take a look. I could probably peek right inside here and you can see some of the workmanship that's in there before the sleeves are actually dropped in there. So as we continue to go through, we do, like people say, oh, don't you have anything like smaller in CNC machines? This is a little Haas TL1. We use this for single op functions, if we're doing modifications, if we're doing, you know, any single operations. If sometimes we have to make spacers, sometimes we have a fastener that needs to be modified, or you know, bushings. So we keep it for the simpler stuff. Comes in handy. We have the star of the shop really is this VAC Motorsports right now. That's the star of the shop. Currently, we're running these hubs on there. These are the Vanos hubs. So if you wanted to see what this starts out as, I can get the slug here. Let's come this way. Here's a bunch of slugs that will become this Vanos hub. And so it is a pre-heat treated material, and this becomes this. Even though the material is heat treated, after we do the spline cutting, we still go in and do another heat treat, bring it up to the right hardness. Other things that we do on this machine are these crank hubs, and these crank hubs are pretty difficult to do. We are even doing the sprocket cutting here, the chain sprocket teeth on this machine. And so when you look at here, if you look at this part specifically, you can see the difference in this little area here is where they're held when the heat treat is done. So these start out as heat treated, and then, or as they call it, pre-hardened. We machine them, we send them out for a final heat treat. The nice thing about a machine like this VAC Motorsports is it gives us the accuracy and the precision. So we can hold our size, and when we drill 4 holes, we could rotate, and 4 holes are perfectly spaced. There's really no margin for error when you're doing stuff like this. If you're on a machine that doesn't have the accuracy, that doesn't hold the hole patterns properly, you know, a lot of times you'll spin and you're like, oh, well, that hole doesn't quite fit, you know. But that's one of the little things here. Now, this hub replaces a factory hub where they're just held in with friction, and then the crank hubs tend to loosen up, and you lose cam timing, and you end up with engine damage. So this is another one of these cool products that just comes out of a slug. This is what we end up with. Another interesting part, one of the parts that we make, these are available for M10, M20, and M30 engines. But this billet rocker arm is also made in this machine. It's made out of 4-inch round bar stock. So if you can imagine, I'm going to take this guy here just to show you. So, you know, we are on center, so it would basically be a piece of material that's almost that size, and this is what this comes out of. So it's very capable. We also have then toys that we do. A lot of parts come off this very, very versatile machine. We have our crank seal guards as well. These actually, I probably have an engine over here. I could walk over and show you kind of what this does. So the factory damper fits on here, and then there's a seal here, and what happens a lot is the belt is riding on the backside of the damper. So when the tensioners and the rollers go bad, the belts get sucked up inside, and they get sucked up into the oil pump. So we've come up with this solution that just simply, it goes into place and it bolts on using the 2 front bolts. and you can see how nicely it pilots. There's no interference between the hub and the seal guard, and now you're protected. If the belt should slide off, there's no way you can suck the belt into the engine. So this is another one of our key components. I don't know how much I want to bore you, but these would be other little examples of, pulleys, alternator pulleys, and supercharger pulleys. Even stuff like this. These are titanium retainers. All that's made. We'll do titanium and steel retainers in here. So the list goes on and on. I don't want to bore you too much with this. Over here you'll see a sampling of hubs. I'm not sure if you could pick it up in the camera, but when you're looking at the material, you should be able to see a little rainbow color. When you see the rainbow color, that's really a good indication of surface finish. Usually you don't achieve that rainbow effect unless the surface finish is really, really smooth and really nice. So, this is, again, it's 4340 pre-hardened, and when you can achieve this kind of finish, you're getting it right. We always look for the rainbow. Usually a pot of gold. Usually a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Why won't I go there? We are tight on space in here. We've kind of outgrown the space. We're currently working on a 20,000 square foot facility as well, located in Hainesport, New Jersey. But until then, we're making do with whatever little space we have. So over here in this area, we keep material. We have the saw, so we bring in full bar stock. We cut the sizes needed on that saw, and then it goes back up to the manufacturing side. Over here we have, I call him Young Einstein, and he's our mad scientist. Paul over here is his father was the founder of Milano Engine and Machine before it became VAC, before VAC bought Milano Engine and Machine. So Paul is doing a V8 here. He's prepping a V8. I guess you're gonna torque that up, Paul, and check the main and hone it.
Yeah.
Torquing everything up for honing.
Right. We got the torque plates on the head.
So the torque plates are also made in-house on that first machine, and you can see an upside down logo here. Just flip your head upside down, you'll see it right side up. There you go. So Paul's only been building engines for about 55 years or so. Maybe a little longer actually, but
yeah, I think I stopped.
He's only 55 years old though.
Yeah, right. I wish.
So we tend to we have the equipment really to do anything start to finish, whether it's production or engine building. In this area over here, except I'll cover it a little bit, but it's not too bad. This is the machine that does all the line boring, or on occasion it becomes a flat surface or somewhat flat surface of the bench. So from line boring cylinder heads, line boring blocks, block resurfacers. If we just walk this way here, another one of our featured machines, and in addition that was an investment that was made last year, is this new and fixed turning machine. So that's all our valve jobs are done in this machine. I think you guys may have at some point seen some pictures and videos online on VAC's Instagram and Facebook. But on this machine here, what happens is, if you look inside here, it's a single point cutter, and we have a carbide pilot. The carbide pilot is going to go down into your valve guides, pilot into the guides, and when we cut the seats, we really have ultimate control, because on this, it's not fired up right now, but on this control here, you could design any profile you want. So if I want a you know, 5 angle, if I want to do a full radius, whatever I want, I can draw it up, and then when we cut, we get the result. So in this case here, you're looking at a cylinder head that has the chambers that have been machined, fully machined. You're also looking at CNC porting, and then you're also looking at the valve seats and the blend work that goes in there. So it allows us to really put even more of a Venturi effect on the valve seat where needed too. We've played around with that, which ends up yielding, you know, some gains. So this is definitely one of the, you know, the newest and probably the best machine in the market for doing valve jobs. We still keep the Surdy. The Surdy is not a bad machine. That treated us right for a lot of years, and we still keep that for some specific jobs. There are advantages to both pieces of equipment, but really when you're talking about valve seat work, this is the ultimate here. What we'll do is we're going to go into the back room, the cleaning room, not the clean room, but the cleaning room. Some people say your place is amazing, and I tell them, well, yeah, maybe a maze, but you know, because it feels like you just go from room to room to room. You know, pressure washer that does all the dirty work. Obviously, this is a beast. And this is the Rottler CNC hose. So this was another investment that we made last year, and we've looked at different equipment. We considered the Sun, we considered the Rottler, and Sun makes a beautiful product, and the home before this was the Sun. In this case, for what we were doing, we felt that the Rottler was a really good fit for us. We don't have the automatic tilting, so if we're doing a V8, we can only do one bank at a time. But it works out still perfectly for us because we get to rough. When we want to rough, we put roughing stones in. We put the roughing head in here, and so this kind of attaches quickly. And then after we're done roughing the cylinders, then we can switch out and we can go over to our finishing head and then put that in. So we finish with like 4 stones, and the rougher, when we're roughing, there's a 6-stone head on it. But this has really also helped the flow of work. It's the Sun was a computer controlled. It was an SV10, but it didn't move hole to hole. With this one here, after we get the size right, it can move hole to hole. So if we're doing a 6-cylinder engine, then we set up the first one, we get the size right, and then it continues on through all 6 cylinders. An oldie but goodie. This one here is an old one, very old. Block home, but it's really used as a line home. So you can see the line home attachment is very, very long. Doors here, you know, that's the way we'd like to finish with a nice line home. So then the other equipment, that Vixen wet blasting. I guess let's see here if I have a manifold to show you. From an E30 M3. That has been wet blasted. Now this is basically from, you know, the last year this was produced was 1991. You can see the stamp on here, 87, which means this probably came off of an 88 car. And then you can see what an unblasted aluminum looks like. So this resembled very much this. Now, if we were to blast this cover, we would end up with this finish, and that's why the investment was made. Now, wet blasting is still uses abrasives, so we're very careful when we use that. We have to clean properly. Our preferred method when we're working with engine internals is the red cabinet there, which is actually a soda blast cabinet. So we use baking soda to blast because if you don't get it perfectly clean, the baking soda dilutes. and you can't cause any engine damage with it. All right. So over here is the crank balancer. Crank balancing, especially on V engines, you know, it's a whole art in itself. But we've gone through a couple different iterations of balancers, and the latest we ended up with was a CWT. Randy at CWT is very, very knowledgeable. This balancer really, again, made life much easier. It's very accurate, very repeatable. The results are always excellent. This is a V crank here, and this guy is going to be going in next. So I guess I don't know if it's set up, but yeah, this looks like it is the factory. If you look here, the factory type balancing. So this doesn't look like it's been done yet. And the way I know that it's not our balancing is the factory tends to use a flat bottom. If you look down inside the crank, they use like a flat bottom drill, where we'll use like a 140-degree drill, as opposed so we would have a little shallow point in there. Flow bench for just the R&D, we do not flow bench every single head, because when you do your development and you get the results you want, and then you machine it in a CNC machine, then you're going to get the same exact results every time. There's actually a head in there now if you want to go.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Let's check it out. So these, you know, when the machine is working, let's see if we could open it up and not get too wet here. Get some drops, but the fixture plate is located exactly in the same place every single time. And the heads, when the factory makes them, they're dowels. So we locate off the dowels. Therefore, every single cylinder head we do, the ports are going to be exactly in the same place. So the blueprinting part is when you can duplicate and when you can put everything on perfect center lines and so forth. But this is a good example here. So we will go into the race shop here. The crew was at the track this past weekend, and therefore today is an off day for them here. But here's a variety of cars from Drift. The red car is a Drift E36 that's obviously turbo powered. You can see the exhaust coming out of the hood. You have a BMW E36 road race car on the lift, the blue one. You have a white E30 M3 also in for some performance work. This black one over here is also a turbo car. This is doing more of the roll racing, is what this car was basically built for. Another road racer in the back. So the majority of our work is focused on more road racing, although we do have drift customers and drag race customers. We do have, there's a couple more, beasts over there. This is a full restoration, and unfortunately, it's a little bit behind schedule. But full restorations, we never quote a time on them because it can get lengthy. If you look at that red one there, all right, you got a nice M4, and then the oldie but goodie, if you could see it on the jig, that was the first tube frame car I built back in the 1990s. I think that was completed in 1996 and ran an SCCA GT3 class, and then competed in 1998 runoffs at Mid-Ohio. Not sure if we have anything on the chassis dyno. Yeah, looks like there is something sitting here. Another road racer. This is a GTS3 car for NASA. Sometimes, it could run in a BMW club race as well, but I think the majority of them have been focused on NASA for this particular customer. So what we'll do is we'll walk you into the parts area as well. Might as well show you. We do. Again, it's a maze around here, but this is only a part of the operation. There's more happening around the corner. But we'll walk you into the parts area. Okay. And from packaging to, you'll see here, there's some chaos in some areas, but then when you get to the parts area, and a little bit more organized. So, Arrow, CP, JE, the big features for us. We do a lot of custom bearings. Well, I should refrain. Custom made for us, but does the bearings, and the coatings are by Calico. And then when you kind of are looking at a high-end product, then you have to look at the Arrow connecting rods. Everything, you have to have different budgets, different price points. For everybody. Down here is some assortment of torque plates as well. And then when you look at this little wall, this is pretty much all BMW MLS gaskets. I don't know, probably several hundred when you look at all the different ones. We try to keep a fair amount of the popular applications. ARP is also another product we're not shy to keep. We are the main importer for Schrick out of Germany as well. So they make wonderful camshafts, cat cams out of Belgium. And then if we're looking here, essentials for different applications, not just BMW. We've been a dealer for Quake for a long, long time. So some more. And then as we get here, we get some, like over here, you got LA sleeves, and then we do Darton in LA. It really depends on, I guess, delivery times, because, as everybody knows, delivery is the key right now. So this is, for instance, S65 application here, and we try to keep at least a couple of engines worth at a time. When we order by more than that, but we try not to get less than that. And then over here, I want to show you, if this isn't taped off completely, the wheel spacers that are made in-house. And I know there's a lot of wheel spacers that are made offshore, but these wheel spacers are extremely light, pocketed, but still done, and they're hub centric and so forth. So this is they're marked with the bolt pattern and the thickness. So this is a 5-1-112 by 10 millimeter. How are we doing on time?
We're doing good. Get out and do some questions up by the Mazak if you'd like.
Sure. Let's do that. Let me just package this properly so I don't get yelled at, Nobody's exempt.
All right, let's head back up front.
If I share something that we do as well, so we kind of keep a bunch of piston samples as well, OE piston samples. This way we always have the factory reference. So, you know, this is definitely, if you're going to sell pistons, you have to know the original pistons, what they were, and then you have to know basically where you're starting and where you're going.
All right, so we have a few questions from the fans, from the VAC team. First question: what are the most common failures that you see on BMW engines? Depending on the platform, I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, it is platform dependent, but over the years, you know, you figure out the weaknesses. A friend of mine that's also in a similar industry told me that, you know, you guys have it tough because you're actually trying to improve something that's built well from the factory. So, now having said that, on a lot of the older platforms, and this will go back to like when we ran in World Challenge Touring Car, we had oil pump failures. And so that started, you know, early on, and that's when we built our oil pump upgrade kits, the shafts and the sprockets and so forth. That's when that was formed. Why? Because, you know, you're out at Vegas, and at that time Davy Jones was driving the car. You know, and so you could either have good luck or you could have some crappy luck.
Right.
That day we had crappy luck, and you know, the oil pump let go on them, and that cost us an engine, and that was the end of that West Coast trip because we weren't prepared at the time for backup. So oil pumps are common. Bearings on the newer cars, bearings tend to be, you know, an issue. People think that the factory, you know, is using horrible bearings. I mean, the bearings are an improvement. The coatings definitely help on bearings. I think one of the problems that ends up happening is that manufacturers tend to, or have to, run tighter clearances, a little bit less clearance to get the heat generated to, you know, everything is going to be emissions based. So as they try to squeeze everything out of the engines and meet emissions, they run into issues. So, you know, the bearings that we sell has a little extra clearance, and then we believe in the coatings. You know, I mean, that coating that's the calico applies to the bearings, it's like a Teflon coating. I mean, who bakes with Teflon? Who cooks, you know, you're frying up in a pan and then it's got Teflon. So it's a great non-stick surface. So it aids in cold start when bearing failures typically can happen. You know, if the oil is drained off of it, so cold start is an issue or oil starvation.
Right.
And, you know, so the bearings are another point, like I said.
Everyone wants to know, do you have a favorite BMW engine platform and why?
Well, I do like my old engines. I do like the M10s and M30s. Let's just say, you know, the way we look at them is BMW built a big 6 or a big 4, and then they built the small 6 and the small 4. So I always enjoyed the big 6, the big 4 spacing. So like the S14 engine was a 16 valve, but the M10 engine was also excellent. The M30 engine was great. So is the S38. They're the big block engines. You know, there's more spacing on those, bigger than the small. Like then when you got into the later M's, E36, M3, and so forth, they became the small 6, which are basically based more on the M20. The M20 was the, you know, baby 6.
Right. Does VAC do anything more than BMW, such as Mini Coopers?
We do some Mini Cooper work. I mean, you know, we're not going to chase anybody out if it's a good project and if time allows. The Coopers, I personally owned one and enjoyed it for a lot of years. You know, we were hoping that they would gain more traction in the racing world, and there were several attempts, but they never really became a huge racing platform, and that's probably why we don't do as much with them. We tend to be more performance and race-centric with a lot of the parts that we make, but it doesn't mean that we can't work on them.
Does VAC do more than just high performance builds and engine building?
I mean, how do I want to interpret that? Do we do custom work? We do custom work. We do fabrication. We do manufacturing. You know, whether it's subcontract. We do build parts for other companies as private label. That's also one of the things that we do. I mean, we're basically set up bumper to bumper. We have the body shop, we have general service, we have performance, street performance, or racing. We've built many roll cages in the past. We kind of shy away from it because of, again, not enough space and not enough hours.
What's in store for VAC moving forward? Are there any plans for the future?
You know, when you're in this industry, if you're not moving ahead, you're falling back, and that's true for life in general. So yeah, as we continue to grow and you know, look ahead, our goal is to have more product, more equipment to manufacture our own product. I've always believed in controlling our own destiny, and you know, there's other companies out there that their focus is, you know, being the race teams and doing well with that, and they have. Our focus has really been more on the manufacturing, and we want to continue to grow the manufacturing. Some of the new products that we've expanded into are the billet diff covers. We'd like to continue to expand on that, and you know, for other platforms as well. Same thing with the floor mount adapters and wheel spacers, like everything that's really popular, we'd like to go more horizontal, not just vertical. Show that's actually pretty cool, right?
So here we have the VAC manufacturing some bits. Exact precision. All right, I think that about wraps up our live stream with Engine Builder Magazine.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Zach for doing a great job filming, I hope. And hope to see you guys at some point soon.
Sounds good. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Check out our website at www.vacmotorsports.com. Again, thanks, Greg. There's Brian in the background getting some work done. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Have a good one. See you around.